Have you been noticing that your preteen or teen is spending a lot of time in social media, especially now during the pandemic, and you are becoming a little concerned about it? If this is your concern, don't miss this episode. Welcome to Parenting Hacks with Dr. Yanina. As always, it's such a pleasure to be with you. And in this episode, I have a special guest with me. This is my eldest son, Alec.
Hey, everybody.
Alec, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
It's good to have you.
Mm-hmm.
And Alec has just graduated as a senior. He is one of the 2020 seniors that have graduated during a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been quite a challenge, or maybe just different what you have been experiencing. Maybe that's not what you were expecting.
No.
But we've been working on it. We've been trying to make the best of it. And you graduated last week.
Yep.
So congratulations for that.
Thank you.
And we are very proud of you. And we are super excited that he finally graduated and he's getting ready to go to college. However, we are not here to talk about that, although that might be a good episode that we might want to do later on. But this episode is about social media. And as a mom myself, I have been noticing that during this lockdown, during the pandemic, my children have been spending much more time in social media than they used to before. We used to have like very specific boundaries and rules when it comes to social media before the pandemic happened. But I learned to understand and figure out that it's really not about how much time they're spending as it is about what is it that they're doing when they're in social media, the quality of things that they're doing when they're in social media. And but usually moms out there, especially the moms that watch this episode, they're concerned about social media intake and how it can hinder or affect their children, and also about how addictive that is, when it comes to social media. And I wanted to bring you to the show because I want moms to hear the teens' perspective when it comes to that issue. We hear a lot about what professionals have to say. We hear a lot about what other moms have to say about social media intake among preteens and teens. But I venture to say, and again, you know me, I'm not here to judge you as a mom, but oftentimes, and at least the moms that I have spoken with and I ask this question, they usually say, I did not think about it. Which is, have you asked your child what is their perspective about social media? Why is it that they like social media so much? And if you have not had that conversation with your preteen or teen, it's never too late to do that. But we have had this conversation a few times. And the last time that we talked, I was like, maybe you might want to share your perspective when it comes to social media use, especially now that it has increased all over the world. I mean, kids are just going bananas because that's kind of a one way to interact with other people in lockdown. So I wanted to give you this opportunity to enlighten us when it comes to social media. And what are your thoughts on it? And we'll talk about that. And what are the social implications when it comes to social media? And then at the end, I want to talk about the addiction of social media. So take it away.
Okay. So for me, a lot of the social media experience has been mostly working and business things. Everybody uses it differently. A lot of students have like personal accounts that they use to communicate with each other. Apps like Snapchat, things like that are very popular for that, or iMessaging, everything like that, you know what I mean? But a lot of students use this time for business and things like that. So really, like my mom said, a lot of it comes down to the quality of what it is you're doing and making sure that, you're doing things responsibly, because a lot of social media is in the hands of the user, right? The way these algorithms work is they give you a flood of content, and then it starts to narrow down as you find your interest, and it determines your interest. So that's why everybody's social medias look a little different.
Right, and that's one thing before you go on, especially the moms of preteens that they're very concerned about, because they're afraid that they're going to be going into Snapchat or TikTok and they're going to be getting bombarded with pornography and, and predators and things like that. So what would you say to a mom that has that type of concern?
Right. Snapchat is probably the safest out of all of them because Snapchat gives you a list of people who have added you. So if you go down your list, you choose who you invite onto your Snapchat. It's not like Instagram where someone can look up your username and see your posts if you're not privated. Snapchat, everything's private. You can even have separate stories for specific people that you want to see it and everything like that. So Snapchat is kind of like you get whoever you let in. Things like TikTok, there have been cases of like predators and things like that on there. It's the same thing as Instagram, Facebook, things like that. It's just about being responsible and being careful, right? Like my TikTok, for example, is mainly art stuff because I'm an artist. I do wallpapers, things like that, drawings, everything. So it tailors to you. If you're someone who likes jokes and things like that, you're gonna get a bunch of memes on your TikTok. Like it all tailors to the person. So it's not much of a concern so long as they're being responsible. So long as they're not, answering all these random messages, and so long as they're uploading content responsibly, right? If there's a young kid on there, there's certain things that they can and can't upload. That's just how it works. Although to prevent a lot of that, TikTok, for example, has limited underage users from being able to message and receive messages because that was a concern. Child predators were a concern at one point. So they blocked all messaging for younger children just so that they don't have to worry about that stuff. So if that's a concern, a lot of it is in the hands of the user and who they let in.
And what would you say about social interactions? Kids are right now, like kids your age, and our daughter, your sister Naya's age, you are most of the time at home and you were used to being with other friends. And I noticed that you're using social media to communicate with your friends and share things with your friends. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, a lot right now, a lot of people are using Snapchat for communicating with their friends because they can send videos, photos, text messages, everything just goes through Snapchat. So a lot of kids are using it now just because, like my mom said, we were all together in school, talking all the time, hanging out all the time, and all of a sudden we're at home with the same few people every single day. So Snapchat has kind of become like a key focus of a lot of people's time because we're used to all of that interaction, and being pulled away from it just kind of feels weird. We get bored, we have smaller attention spans, we all like to do stuff. Right, we like to talk to people. So Snapchat is the main place where you're gonna find all of that. But even things like TikTok and Instagram, people are sending each other funny stuff all the time, just trying to bring laughter to each other's lives.
So how has that helped you when it comes to your relationship with your friends?
Well, it stops it from getting distant, like being able to communicate. It's just like phone calls or like FaceTime calls, Discord calls, sending Snapchat messages. All of it keeps us from, pulling apart, getting distant. Because at the end of the day, we're all people. We need social interaction, especially younger people, because we're so used to it, going to school all the time and seeing these people all the time. It just helps you not detach, and it helps you stay social and continue to grow those social skills.
Not detach emotionally, since you are physically distant from each other.
Right.
So you have found that through social media, you have been able to maintain that emotional connection with your friends and just stay in touch with what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because they can post on their stories updates of what people have been doing throughout the days or whatever.
But of course, social media, there's some dangers of it, and we went over a few of them. But then there's also this other side in which moms are always concerned. It's like, it's so addictive. Kids can be in social media for hours and hours and hours if they don't practice self-control, especially at that age. It's very difficult to practice self-control. And parents feel that they have to be monitoring all the time and constantly on them because it can be quite addictive. You can be scrolling and you start by watching one video, especially on TikTok, and then you do the other video and the other video and the other video, and it becomes hours. So what are your thoughts on that?
I just think it's all about self-control. Everybody's different. Everyone has their time limits, things like that. I know people who go on for maybe an hour a day. I know people who go on for hours a day. It's just, all of it comes down to the person's self-control and being, a lot of it also comes down to the relationship with the family. Do they want to be stuck on their phone, or do they want to go talk to their family? It's just, everybody's different. Everyone practices self-control differently. But I do think it is important to practice and not allow someone to be on for so long, because it can get consuming. Especially, let's say someone, for example, is into politics or things like that, and they're scrolling through, and all they're seeing, like, let's say they see something negative, and you just keep going down that rabbit hole, it's hard to detach sometimes. And when you start seeing those things, it gets negative, but you can't pull away from it. You're still going through negativity, and then you walk out and you end up lashing out at your mom for no reason. So I think, like I said, all of it's about self-control. And a lot of it, like I said, is in the hands of the user. So me personally, I barely see negative things on my social media just because I don't want to surround myself with that stuff. A lot of my social media is inspirational stuff. Like, I'm an artist, so I get a lot of art on my page, and that inspires me. I love to see it. So a lot of it comes down to what you're seeing and how long you're seeing it, and just being able to detach when it's necessary and have a relationship with your family that makes you want to detach from your phone.
So this show is about sharing parenting hacks with moms. And what I would like for you is to share one parenting hack for our moms to help them, based on your perspective, be able to have a conversation with their child about self-control. You know, when they're noticing that their son or daughter is going on and getting consumed with social media, how can they approach their child in a way that is not threatening or is not judgmental? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say it starts with knowing their interests, because at the end of the day, if I'm interested in something, it's going to be on my social media. Whether I'm following it or I'm posting it, that's where it's going to be, on my social media, for other people to see and for me to enjoy, right? Like I said, for me, it's art. It's my inspiration. I get art, like I post art, everything. So a lot of it just comes down to understanding your child, understanding their interests, understanding the things they're posting, everything like that. And really just getting to know their interests, the things they find funny, everything like that, is what will help you better understand their social media. And being able to ask them about it. Like, asking if they want to ever have a social media business or do anything like that. Because social media, while it's a good platform for just socializing, it's also an amazing platform for business and making money and doing things like that on the side.
But how can they, and this is wonderful, and also how can they approach their child when they're noticing that their child has been consumed with the social media?
That's a good question.
What is your perspective on that?
Yeah.
I've heard my perspective.
I would say bring it up as nicely as possible. Like, I've been noticing you're on social media a lot. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you looking at? Or are you talking to friends? Are you watching movies? Because sometimes you might think they're on social media, but really they're just on Netflix. So just bring it up to them and ask them what it is they're doing. I mean, just like she said earlier, in a non-judgmental way, just bring it up to them and ask them what's going on. Most of the time, they'll probably tell you the simple things. And yeah, just try it. A lot of it, like I said, comes down to understanding their interests. So ask them what they're doing, see if it correlates with things they're interested in, or if they're starting to like something else. But yeah, a lot of the time, just asking in a respectful way and with no hostility is a great way to start.
And finally, what would you say to a teenager your age or maybe younger that is having a hard time with self-control because it's easy for them to get consumed with whatever they see in their timelines or the videos or whatever it is? What would you advise to any kid between the ages of, I don't know, maybe 12 to 18 that are struggling with self-control?
Okay, number one, find a hobby. Find that hobby and hold it dear. Me, like I said a million times already, is art. I like drawing, so when I want to detach from social media or things like that, or if I'm bored, instead of going straight to Instagram, I'll start drawing. Like, I have a little iPad and I draw on there. So that's my favorite thing to do. Find your hobby, find what makes you happy outside of social media, and then do it, because now's the time. Everybody's at home. It's quarantine time. Find something that you like to do in your home and that you can do in your home that passes by the time for you, that you enjoy doing, and something that you want to do in the future too, that you can see yourself progressing every day, because guess what? Now's the time to learn new things. So many people are learning new things in quarantine. For me, I have been getting much better at my drawing and my coloring and everything like that. All of my designs have just been improving throughout quarantine. Every single day they're getting better and better. I'm having prints of them and stuff like that. It's just been a good time because I've had so much time on my hands to really practice and just keep trying to do better, instead of just sitting on Instagram seeing what other people are doing better.
Exactly. Right. And it's about getting yourself to be better versus just being envious or jealous about others who are getting better, that they're not wasting time, they're using their time wisely. So,
Be that person.
Yeah, exactly. And there's YouTube tutorials, and there's a lot of e-learning and online learning that you can take advantage of. Well, that has been a lot of information that you have shared with our moms. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that what Alec has been sharing has been helpful to you and to your preteen and teen as well. And it is true. I mean, we are in a situation right now that is an unprecedented times that we never experienced before. Oftentimes, we don't even know how to deal with it. We're all learning as we go. Don't punish yourself. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel don't let this to overwhelm you, but rather take one day at a time. And yes, you will see that the consumption of social media has increased in your children. It has increased in most kids all over the world. So don't feel that your child is just, there's something wrong with them because they're doing it more. You know, you are the mom, and it's good to have this type of conversation with them, and just find a middle ground, a middle ground in which both of you feel comfortable with the consumption of social media. And as you heard Alec, maybe you might want your kids to watch this video and also learn from him as well. And hopefully things will get better with your children. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And if you have not joined us yet, check out our Facebook group, Moms Don't Quit. I would love to see you there. Just go and search for the group Moms Don't Quit, and I will be happy to let you in. And of course, as always, you are welcome to share this episode in your social media and with other moms that might benefit from what we are sharing in this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next episode.
Bye
for
guys.
now.